Welcome to the Adventures in Learning podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Diane, and I am so excited to welcome our next guest. Jesenia is an incredible Puerto Rican actress. She's one of the funniest people I've ever met. She has been on Stars. She's been on Showtime. She is the reigning champion of NBC's Diversity Monologue Slam. She's a seasoned actress. She's a writer. She's just so fun, and we met because we share a passion for the First Amendment. Wonder, curiosity, connection. Where will your adventures take you? I'm Dr. Diane, and thank you for joining me on today's episode of Adventures in Learning. So I am so excited to welcome you to the show. Let's dive in.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here and talk to you.
Well, it was so fun to meet you in New York a couple of months ago. And we met because we were both invited to an absolutely surreal cocktail party.
Literally.
And it was surreal on so many fronts. I mean, I've never seen that many incredible people in the same room, but the passion for protecting the First Amendment.
Yes.
What brought you to that room, and why is the First Amendment important?
Well, the First Amendment Committee was not started by Jane Fonda. It was started by her father, Henry Fonda. And so Jane Fonda's picking it back up because, once again, we are being threatened of our fundamental rights. You know, it's like literally the very First Amendment, like I guess they just said, let's start at 1 and then we'll just work our way down, which they seem to be doing.
They do.
Yeah.
And I'm so tired of it.
So I am mentally exhausted. But you know what? That's what they want. They want to mentally exhaust us. So that way we get tired. So that way we stop paying attention. So that way we turn off our news feed, but we cannot do that. We cannot, because it will just get worse and worse and worse. So we went to this party. And when I say we, me and my co-writer, my best friend, she's my buddy. She's my plus one. She's also an actress. Her name is Jenny Ruisa. Hi, Jenny.
Hi, Jenny.
I saw this committee online, Jane Fonda starting it. So I immediately sent it to her and I said, hey, we're going to join this group. She's like, oh, okay. So, and then I saw they were having their first New York meeting. And so I said, hey, we're going to go to this meeting. And she's like, I don't know if I want to go. I said, come on, let's go. I said, maybe Jane Fonda will be there. We can meet Jane Fonda and schmooze and, and see what we could do to protect our First Amendment rights as actors, as creators, as writers, right? And so we went to this event. And as soon as we go up the stairs, there goes Jane Fonda. She greets everybody at the door. Beautiful woman. Beautiful.
She fixed my name tag.
Oh, I love it. I love it. She was so sweet. Like, she was talking, she wanted to know what we both did in the industry. And she was talking about her experience in the industry. And I mean, I think of course, she knows how to connect with people, right? She knows how to do it very, very well. She's been doing it for a very long time. And as actors, we should know how to do that, right?
Right.
The human experience is what we kind of like fascinate over, right? So it was wonderful meeting her, meeting all those people, meeting you. I mean, Rosie Perez was in the room.
Right.
Patricia Arquette, Edie Falco was in the room. Such beautiful, wonderful Rosario Dawson. So much talent, so much experience, right? And I got to speak to almost every single one of them and their experience in this and their fear. Their fear is exactly like, no matter what level you're on as an artist, the fear is the same. Uh-oh, are we going to be shut down? Is our voice going to be silenced? Which cannot be, right? Because as a writer, when I'm writing, I'm one of those writers that I like to write on whatever's like hot in my mind, right? I think those are the best things that you create when it's hot in your mind, right? And if I'm writing something and I have to constantly edit myself or whatever because of the society that we live in, what are we going to create? Like, what are we going to do? What does that look like?
Right. Well, and the best change has come through free thinking and through people who challenge the status quo and who dare to dream about possibilities beyond
Yes.
what we see in front of us.
That's always what I've done as a writer. I always like to write something that says something, whether you realize it while you're watching it or whether you realize it later after thinking about it. I always like to write something from the female perspective as it relates to whatever I'm writing about, right? When Trump was first going for his first presidency of the United States, which is like wild to me. But
I
anyway,
know.
I mean, we were all like, oh, he is not going to win. This is crazy. This is whatever, ridiculous, right? Well, I wrote a few parody songs about him because for some reason, music came to my mind, songs. I wanted to sing about him because I figured, well, I want to sing about him, not in a loving, beautiful way, but in a comedic way,
Right.
right? So it was like parodies. So I did two parodies of Trump his before he became president for the first time and then after he became president for the first time. And I mean, they're both very honest, they're both very bold, and if we lose our First Amendment right, both things will be off the internet. The
Right.
internet will be a really, really crazy, weird,
Sterile.
boring. Yeah,
I mean, think communist Russia.
exactly. Well, Russia, didn't they just stop Instagram? I think they just banned Instagram. Yeah, yeah,
Ay, ay,
yeah.
ay.
I know. So it's, I don't want to live in that type of world. And so I joined this group to see what I can do and to learn about it, right? To learn about what my rights are and just to be a part of a community that has the same goal, right? And it feels good when you do that. And I feel like every single actor and every writer and every creator should be a part of this group. Every single one. I tell everyone, every party I go to, every screening I go to, film festival, whatever it may be, I tell every single actor to look it up and to join because it's
Exactly.
very
And it
important.
goes for podcast hosts, it goes for
Yes.
writers, it goes for directors, journalists.
Yes.
It's important to protect those rights because the right to speak, the right to assemble, the right to think, to
Yes.
write, those are important rights. They're
These are
fundamental
all
to who
important.
we are.
Yes. If you expect to be on any kind of platform, then yes, you need to be concerned about your First Amendment right, for sure.
And that
And
goes for children's book. My audience is children's book
yes.
authors and illustrators, but it's the same thing. I mean, if you look at that same party, Pen America was there and every library
Mm,
as well. And if you look at the sheer number of book bans, that's another thing that we need to be concerned about. That's part of that First
yes.
Amendment right. That we've got to figure out a way that we can honor diverse voices and respect other people's rights to want to read and think and do without trying to control that. You don't
Yes.
have to read, watch, whatever, but
Right.
you don't get to tell other people what they read, watch, think.
Exactly. Exactly. It feels like we're in an alternate universe, like it's switched, like the timeline completely switched to jump to another timeline, and we are all screwed up. We need to get back on track. And I don't know if you watch the State of the Union. I couldn't.
I
I,
had to read it and not watch it.
oh my God. How was that read?
Confusing at best.
Yeah, I'm sure. Because he goes in and out of different conversations.
Timelines and realities, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Very interesting. I couldn't watch it. I kind of wanted to, but I just couldn't. And I probably should have. And maybe I will still. Once I have to literally, it's a whole thing, you gotta light the candles, you gotta
Yep.
spray the scents, you gotta really calm yourself, you
You
know?
need some sage.
Yes. Take a sniff drink or something, something to kind of zen you out and watch it. I've seen little bits and pieces and he seemed very erratic and it's just not the country that we have been living in, It really I have not experienced any of this type of I mean, Yes, we have experienced terrible things, right? Terrible injustices. We've seen people go through them, right? But then we correct them. We fix it. We're like, wait a minute, we cannot do this. Or, we go through the due process where a justice is served most of the time. This one is like on a global scale. This man is creating so much horror in this country that I'm afraid of what other countries, of how they would react and how we look to everyone else. And I hope that if you're in another country and you're watching this video, honey, he does not he does not represent us. He is not our representative. And it's hard to explain to another country, right? Because they think, oh, well, we voted him in. But did we?
Well, and certainly, there are huge divides that we're going to have to address to move forward in terms of where we are as a country. But I agree with you. When I talk to my friends in other countries, I always start with, I'm so sorry. And and I hate doing that. But,
Yeah.
it's almost like you have to get that out of the way before you can have any kind of conversation.
Right. I work with people from other countries who are here on like visas and things, and they walk around now with their passports and their visas, and they are very sad because the reason they came here is because they love the United States and specifically New York. They love New York.
Right.
Like they don't want to be in their country. They want to be here, you know?
And they
And now,
brought their creativity here.
yes, they brought their talents here. They're living here helping us make this country better. And now we are criminalizing immigrants just for loving our country, just for wanting to be here.
Well, and it's crazy because, again, if you study U.S. history, if you spend any time on it, you know that we are all immigrants and we
Yes.
have all come from somewhere else. And
Yeah.
it's that old adage of, I'm here now, I'm slamming the door in somebody else's face. And we've
Yes.
done it consistently from the beginning, but it's always felt like there's been a way that it's eventually evened. And then you had your next role. And this time it feels different. And I
Yeah.
think we need that refresher that reminds us that many, many, if not most of our advancements, our
Right.
achievements, the things that have made us unique and special have come from the creativity of immigrants.
100%. They remind us how great this country is. I mean, we are literally a melting pot of so many different cultures, and we've always taken that to be such a prideful thing, right?
Right.
That we live in this country, we could all work together. I mean, when I'm on set, I'm not on set with only Puerto Rican people. I'm on set with all different types of
From
people, right?
everywhere.
Sometimes the person writing my the script is not a Puerto Rican person, but we relate to it because it's a human experience, and we can understand it, we can connect to it. And just clouding that out, and just like not or taking it for granted, you know what I mean? That the
Yeah.
immigrant people who live in this country, the voices that we have and how far that we've come, I just think I don't understand what's going through their minds. And I've heard little, conspiracy theories here and there, right? Like I think a couple of years ago, before this kind of got out of control, and Trump was already telling us that he wanted to run again. I saw this video, it was online somewhere, and it said something like, white people are afraid of losing their Western culture, something like that. And so and this was just around the time where Roe versus Wade was like completely abolished in some states,
Right.
right? And and I just thought that to be so interesting that this man said that. It was a white man, and he was a professor of something. I don't even remember, but the message stuck with me, right? Where this was more than a woman's issue. This was a people issue. This was like a culture issue, right? And every now and then I see something pop up on the internet saying, "Oh, white people, they're statistically they're on the census, they're getting lower or they're equaling the same percentage of
Right.
people in the United States as people of color. And I just thought, but what's the problem with that? Haven't we
Exactly.
always evolved as human beings?
Well, and that's exactly it. And it's ironic because I think back to when I was in school and
Right.
I knew, back I'm 9 years old and we're talking
Right.
about this in, the 70s, early 80s, that by the time we hit this point, it would
Yeah.
be a true melting pot and true
Yes.
diversity.
And that's okay.
And it was fine. And so
Yes.
I'm kind of looking around going, okay, what lessons did you miss back in the
Right.
day?
Right.
And what about it is so scary
Right.
because it's not pie. It's not
Exactly.
like I have a slice of pie
Yeah.
and suddenly my slice of pie is going to get less. That's
Right.
not how this
Right.
works. It's like,
I try to put I try to step into their shoes, right? Like to think how they think. And how would I feel if there were like, I don't know, a couple of million Puerto Ricans and they were dwindling down. And I'm thinking, Puerto Ricans are already kind of dwindled down, right? Like Puerto Ricans in general are a mixture of so many different cultures because of I mean, the terrible genocide that happened
right.
in our island, right?
Absolutely.
Um, but what did we do? We we weren't okay with it, right? But we adjusted. We figured it out. We started to meld and meld with these people, right? I mean, Puerto Ricans are made up of Spaniard and African and French, a little bit of Irish in there. There's so many different and of course the Taino Arawakan Indian. And you think of all this, right? The original people are the Tainos. And then you think of the people that conquered them were the Spaniards. They spoke Spanish. They killed all the men. They raped all the women. I'm sorry, this is terrible to hear, but this is exactly what happened. It's a part of
Right.
history. And now, when you say hello to a Puerto Rican in their language, it is not Arawakan, it is Spanish. They have evolved into a different breed of people, right? They
Right.
have evolved. They've taken their oppressors' language and their cultures and a little bit of the indigenous cultures and all the other cultures that came to the island, and now they are Puerto Ricans,
Right.
right? They are no longer Tainos or Arawakwans completely. They are Puerto Ricans. And so America is just like that, right?
Exactly.
It was conquered by people, and then other people came here. And now we've all kind of just been living together and figuring it out and fighting and no, I want to be in charge. No, I want to be in charge. But then we say, okay, wait, let's figure this out. And I just saw America going into such a beautiful place. I mean, we have gay rights now. Gay people can get married now.
Right.
I mean, so many things have progressed in this country to now see it getting pushed back, right? Now we're like, we're regressing. And I don't want to be a part of that. And how do we not be a part of that, right?
And that's where I think that the Committee for the First Amendment is important. And I keep thinking
Yes.
about, the long arc of justice, the
Yes.
building that beloved community. How do we get there? And
Yes.
I think it's two-part. I think one is this collective action. It's finding other voices, joining together, because there is power in
Yes.
community. There's
Yes.
power in speaking together. And there's
Mhm.
also power in the individual work that we do.
100%.
Continuing to do your podcast, write your story, volunteer in your local food pantry,
Yes. Be a
help
part.
shovel your neighbor's snow, whatever
Yes.
it is, build that community and that connection. Do that
Yeah.
in tandem with
Right.
community action.
Right. And as artists, we cannot be afraid to speak our mind. We just can't. We just
A-
cannot.
And it's
I mean,
scary and it's risky, but when artists are quiet, that's when sameness and
right.
despair move in. And, I'd
Right.
read recently, hope it's a verb. Hope is a verb, and it's a verb of action. And
100%.
if we want to
100%.
have hope, we've got to keep acting.
Yes. And, and it's not to say, oh, you have to, if you're an artist or you're a writer and you have to write about all of this. No, keep doing what you're doing. You don't have to. If you want to, sure. But keep doing what you're doing. Keep creating without a barrier on yourself, without a fear, Take
Make
that
us
freedom.
laugh, tell love
Yes,
stories.
because we need it. Oh my God, we need it. We don't need remakes. We need original, wonderful, creative, crazy, loving, scary, whatever. We need those stories, right?
Exactly.
I mean, that's pretty much all that I could say on the First Amendment. I say just keep on being you, keep on creating, and be bold.
I think you've hit it. Imagine a space where curiosity drives innovation, where empathy fuels collaboration, and where learning feels less like a task and more like an adventure. My message isn't about adding more to your plate. It's about changing how you see the plate entirely. I'm Dr. Diane Jackson Schnorr, and through the power of purposeful play, I equip leaders, educators, and organizations with the tools you need to unlock creative problem solving, deepen human connection, and build resistant ecosystems of empathy and innovation. Attendees will walk away not just inspired, but empowered, with immediately usable strategies to spark curiosity in teams, to lead with empathy, and to infuse learning into their everyday cultures. You'll learn how play isn't child's work. It's the secret weapon of the world's most effective leaders and change makers. This is not a feel-good talk that fades by Monday morning. It's a movement, a shift in how we engage people, solve problems, and lead meaningful change. My talks and workshops are shaped by decades of experience in education and a transformative message that connects across sectors. Whether your audience is corporate, educational, or nonprofit, they'll leave ready to rethink what's possible, both personally and professionally. Because when we learn and lead through play, we don't just change organizations, we change the world. Check it out at drdianeadventures.com. So let's talk about the ways that you're being creative and bold right now, because you have such a fun presence and
Thank you.
Your work is so interesting. Tell people a little bit about what's going on right now, because you are really busy in the sort of short film circuits and all kinds of places. Everywhere I look, I see you these days.
Yes. Well, short film seems to be where it's at right now because the internet has given us all short attention spans. Yes. It has. And I don't know about you, but when I watch a movie now, I am no longer like watching the movie. I'm more like, watching the movie, pause, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So people are starting to realize that, and short film has now become like it's booming more than ever now. And so recently I was in a short film called Bitch, I'm Early. It's a comedy.
I didn't think it was super serious.
It could be, you never know. I'm early. It's about like the corporate rat race, right? And how people compete in corporate America. It has nothing to do with politics or anything like that. It's just like two women fighting for the same position, and what are they gonna do about it, right? It's 6 minutes. It's fun. It's quick. It's funny. It's different. It has 2 Latina leads. And it's really great. It has a lot of people of color in it, which I loved, number one. I know the director and the writer. His name is Jesse Cowell. And he's just like one of those talented directors. He's from New York. So he's lived in the melting pot for so long, that he's so comfortable with everybody's ethnicity. He forgets his own, which I do the same exact thing. I think the one time in my life where I was very focused on my ethnicity was when I didn't live around diversity, was when I lived in Pennsylvania. When I lived in Pennsylvania, it was like hardly any diversity there. And I was very aware of like my hair and my, a weird experience. But in New York, you don't you don't feel that. When you live here, you feel like you're a part of the Black community, the white community, the Latino community, the Asian, you like
Yep.
Indian community. You're just a part of everybody.
It's your neighborhood. I mean,
Yes.
my
Yes.
kid lives in Washington Heights and she feels a part of the community.
Yes, that's what it's all about. You feel, especially if you've been there for a long time, right? Like everybody knows you. I've been in my community in the Bronx for a long time. Everybody knows. I mean, they don't like know me, but they know me. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
They know my son. When they see us walking around, they know. So in a way, we kind of like all kind of look out for each other, pretty much. That's the New York way. And if
Right.
nobody realizes that, I'm so sorry for you. And if you've never experienced it, I'm so sorry. But it's a different thing when you live in a city, right? So yeah, this film has been making its way through the film festival circuits, and it became Oscar qualifying, which was
Congratulations.
yes, that was very. I mean, we didn't get selected, but to be Oscar qualified, that was pretty cool.
That's a
right?
big deal.
Yes. So I was very, very happy about that and happy for the director and creator. He has another one that's just out. It's another short. It's called Where's My Package, which I'm also in. And that one is about like the never-ending drama of where the hell is my package? Who has it? Let me just go pick it up? Like what is the problem here, people?
And that's universal because I got to tell you, living in Manchester, New Hampshire, that happens to me all the time. It's like, where's my
Girl.
mail?
All the time. It's like, oh, yay, it arrived. And you go home. Where the hell is it? Great. So, yeah, so he has those two. And then I am working on, right now it's in pre-production. It's a short film that I co-wrote, and it's a comedy. It's a grief comedy adventure. That's what I call it. And it is. It's about grief, which we all pretty much experience. And it's just one of these things that in my family, the way that we experience grief is through laughter. That's just what we do. There's a lot of laughing at every funeral. There's a lot of jokes. There's a lot of storytelling. And that's how we get through it. That's how we've always gotten through it. And so I wanted to share that and in a different and unique way, because sometimes at a funeral, you arrive at a funeral, you don't like everybody at the funeral.
Right.
Yes, they're all family, sure, but maybe you haven't spoken to that family member in a while or whatever. But, for some reason, it doesn't matter because you're at a funeral, so you squash it. And you try to make the best of it, and you're all laughing like you're old chums. And I wanted to show that because my family, in my family, we have experienced that a lot. And I wanted to kind of like, and I'm sure there are other families out there who have experienced this exact same thing. So why not talk about it, right? So yeah, so right now we're looking for funding. And so we're submitting to all the grants and all the funding competitions that we possibly can submit to. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm very excited.
And you've managed to create a career of stable and steady work for yourself. If there were young people listening who want to go into this field, what would you tell them based on what you've learned?
Do what you love. Do what makes you happy. Take breaks when you need to. I feel like we're in this like hustle culture all the time where people tend to get burnt out. And I did at one point. I got very, very burnt out. I was writing and producing and acting and directing and it was just like this cycle, right? And I was constantly doing it that right after I'd finish one project, I wouldn't even like stop to say, oh, wow, that was so great. I would just immediately think, oh my God, what do I do next? And so it was just like this constant thing of going to the next, going to the next. And it burnt me out. And I had to take a couple of years where I was just acting. I said, you know what? I think I'm just going to act for a while. And although my phone was full of things that I kept writing down, because you got to get it out. You got to get it out of the head.
Right.
But it's important to take time for yourself and live, right? so much as a creator, we're so focused on the creation of the thing that we kind of like become like these little hermits, right? And we're just in our room and we're typing along or we're constantly writing, or we're in that world where you forget about the world, right? And as creators, we have to continue living in the world and experiencing different things in order to create even more. So it's like, it's one of those things, it's those scales that you have to try to level out yourself. What works for you is you're going to know, right? And I always say, don't give up. And when you feel like giving up, just take a break, take a class, or I don't know, listen to a podcast, something that's going to kind of level you out and ease your mind, and realize none of us are getting out of this world alive. Like,
True.
life is so short. It is what you make it. And just try to enjoy it and experience it as much as you can.
That makes a lot of sense. And, as you were talking about sort of finding the scales, I think that applies really in any form of work or creativity. It's finding that balance between what drives you, that purpose, and
Yes.
being present with the people around you and the world around you, and still being open to wonder and curiosity.
Yes, for sure. Like even I also have a day job, so I work in a corporate office. And even with them, I find myself having a lot of conversations with a lot of executives throughout the day, and how they do feel like they don't have any time with their families because they're always traveling for work or this or that or all day. At the end of the day, their eyes are bloodshot red because they're just staring into the computer all day, on meetings or whatever. And I find myself talking a lot about balance with them and how you have to do it for yourself, because the corporate the corporate jungle will definitely keep you working no matter what. Oh, you want to work? You took a sick day, but you're still working? Okay, great. That's good for us,
Exactly.
And my thing is, take a sick day. If you need a sick day, take the sick day, right? Take
And
your
give yourself
time.
space to play. And I think that we forget
Give
that.
yourself. Yes.
You've got to play. And no matter how dark and awful things get, you're no good to anybody if you're not finding that joyful center for yourself.
100%. And a lot of people, like in my day job, they ask me, "Oh, how do you do all this comedy stuff? And how are you an actor while you're always here? I never see you not here." And I'm like, Well, I always tell them, well, when you're on vacation, when you're going to your Aruba, whatever, my vacations are I'm going on set. Like I'm filming something. That's to me is my release, right? They need the island, and of course the island and the beach is beautiful too.
Exactly. We're
But
not arguing that.
no. They need that. But what I need is something completely different. I need to express. I need to have that creativity. And if I don't, ooh, it's no good, right? Um,
Exactly.
yeah. And so when I don't, and let's say, my agent or my manager, they're not getting me many auditions, and I'm not booking, as much as I would like. Or this year, I don't even think I booked one thing, right? But what keeps me sane is that I'm creating for myself, right? I'm creating. And so in my mind, I am still working, right? And I'm auditioning. And to me, that is also
That's
my
the work.
creativity. Yes. Yes. That is how I perform. And I love it. Every time I get an audition, oh, yay, great. I get to play. Right. It's not just when I'm on set, it's when I'm auditioning, it's when I'm writing and creating something, a world that's living in my mind, And I've kind of, ever since I started in this industry, I quickly realized that I have to create for myself. Right. Because as a Latina, I wanted to do comedy. I didn't know I didn't know where to start. I'm like, what do I do? I don't know. Look up comedy jobs. I had no idea.
Right.
And so that's kind of like what I did, right? And what I noticed was there were no Latina roles, and still really barely there are not, right? In
Right.
comedy, it's usually black or white. And so I would still submit, but never get a call back or never get an audition or anything like that. And I thought, man, what am I gonna do? Like, I really want to do this. I want to do sketch comedy. I want to do improv. And so I took classes. I started training myself, okay, I want to write sketch comedy. How the hell do I do that? You know,
Right.
it takes more than a Google search, honey. It takes way more than a Google search. Put yourself in a class, write things, in front of people, test yourself. And that's how I started performing comedy, really. I mean, other than stand up, I did a lot of stand up in the very beginning. But like performing, yeah, it was through sketch, it was through improv, theater, you know?
Exactly.
And had I not done any of that, I wouldn't have had any of the experiences that I still hold near and dear to my heart, that have helped me grow as an actor and as a writer, right?
Yeah, and I think you've hit something that is so important. I'm thinking as the mom of a performer that, it's so many family dinners you get well, what are you doing?
Oh,
And there's that whole sense of if they're not being paid to perform, what's your
right. Been
backup
there.
plan? Are you do
Yeah.
and it's been interesting to be the defender of that at the tables,
Hmm.
be like, no, this is part of the work,
Yeah.
the doing the 4 jobs, the taking the classes, the finding those people, the doing what you have to do what you love. It's
Yes.
not about the bookings, it's about creating the work for yourself. It's about maintaining that sense of joy and curiosity and wonder,
Yes.
even
Oh,
when the world feels like it's beating you down.
yeah. This industry is not all cupcakes and roses either. It's like there's a lot of rejection. There's a lot of feeling down, there's a lot of that, right? But it's a part of it. You just
Exactly.
accept it and you move on. Okay, they didn't want me. Well, their loss, You move on.
And that may
And
be part of why I love entertainers and performers and writers so much too, is along with that, there's that
yeah,
sense of resiliency and I can make something out of nothing. I
yes,
can create from this pain.
yes.
I can create something joyful. I have something to say to the world and I'm not going to shut up because I know what I have to say is important.
Yeah. And like what makes that person them better, or their experience or their voice or whatever better than mine, like we're all equal here, really, if we really just step back and put on a spacesuit and go into space and look at the whole world. Literally,
Yeah,
we're all the same, right? And that's what it's about. Just I have known so many people that have quit, and they're talented people. And I think, "Ah," and I'll, call them and I'll try to talk them out of it even. Hey, well, if I write something for you, will you do it? And then, oh, well, maybe, I don't know. Oh, but I would love to see you, acting again. Cause that's what I do
yeah,
when like, I know how it feels to wanna quit, and it feels bad, it feels terrible.
right,
So and trust me, I'm not speaking to the people who have tried it and they figure out it's not for them and they just move on. That's fine, right? I
right,
mean, I used to do hair, and I realized, that is not for me. Not
exactly.
because I was bad at it, but because it didn't bring me anything, it didn't bring me any joy.
Right. It wasn't your joy generator.
It was not my joy generator at all. And so I've always been that type of person to kind of like, what is this? What I need to find that thing to make me feel like I belong in this world, right? And the first time I stepped out on a stage, I knew. It kind of brings tears to my eyes almost, because I knew that this was something that not only came very easy to me, but it made me feel alive in a different way. And I said, "Oh shit, this is amazing." It was like a drug without the drug, And that's how you know. That's how you know. And it could be anything. I met a woman, she was a lawyer, and I knew her as a lawyer. She worked for one of the companies that I used to work for. And she came to me one day and she said, "Oh, I heard that you're an actor." I said, oh, yeah, I am. I do improv and sketch and all that. I go down the line. And she's like, oh, I'm an actor too. I said, really? And she's like, yeah, well, I'm an opera singer. And so I act in the plays that I do, in the operatic plays. And I said, what? And let me tell you, she did not look like, she was just like a very straight-laced, looking lawyer. And she said, oh yeah, I'm performing. So she invited me to one of her performances, and I went by myself, and I see her walk out on stage, and I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Let's see, right? Because when you see someone performing, like when you're seeing them for the very first time, you're so nervous for them, right? You're like, oh, please. And the amazingness that came out of her mouth, I could not believe it. And I was so happy for her. So the next day I saw her and I said, oh my God, why are you working here doing law? You should be an opera singer somewhere on a grand stage somewhere, And she said, well, I am an opera singer, but I love law. I love law. She's like, I love opera too, but I really love the law. And I said, I get it. I get it.
Yep. She found her joy and she found a way to have both.
Yes. And how beautiful and wonderful is that?
Exactly.
And that's all we need.
And that's what we need for everybody, is that opportunity to find your joy. And finding her joy didn't hurt anybody else.
Right. As long as your joy does not hurt anybody else. Very, very important. Right. Yeah.
So one final question for you today, and it's one I end the podcast with always because I think it's an important question. What brings you hope? It's getting harder to answer.
It is getting harder to answer. My son, seeing his life unfold, from birth to now, he's 23 now, watching him. What brings me the hope that I already have? Delusion? Okay, let's keep it real. Delusion, yeah. Everything is going to work out. It is going to be the way that it's supposed to be. That's just that constant thing I say to myself to keep myself from completely falling apart. Delusion. Keep the delusion alive, people.
I love it.
Because delusion, it may start out as delusion, right? But it may turn into complete success, right?
Right.
And as long as the delusion keeps you happy and keeps you going towards that light, where you're not hurting anyone.
Right.
Then keep it going. Keep it going. They all say, oh, fake it till you make it, and it's like, you're not faking the talent. You're faking, you're just being delusional. So the fake is the delusion, right? Because you're telling yourself in your mind, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. This is going to happen, and let's say you've been doing it 30, 40, 50 years. You still tell yourself, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. And you know what? It is happening.
You're doing it as you're telling yourself.
Exactly.
And folks, if you're listening, I'm going to drop the link to the Committee for the First Amendment because you need to check out the work and sign up to join us. And I'm also going to drop your information in the show notes as well. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Adventures in Learning podcast.
Thank you for asking me to be a part of it. I love it.
It has been so much fun. I've loved getting to chat with you. You've been listening to the Adventures in Learning podcast with your host, Dr. Diane. If you like what you're hearing, please subscribe, download, and let us know what you think. And please tell a friend. If you want the full show notes and the pictures, please go to drdianeadventures.com. We look forward to you joining us on our next adventure.